الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خاتم النبيين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله
الصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله
وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا حبيب الله
وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا حبيب الله
الصلاة والسلام عليك يا نبي الله
الصلاة والسلام عليك يا نبي الله
وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا نور الله
وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا نور الله.
The Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam used to recite durood on himself. It's narrated in an authentic hadith that Sahabis would see him coming in and out of the masjid, and he would read Sallallahu ala Muhammadin or Sallallahu alayya. Now when we're reading Sallallahu alayka means on you, Sallallahu upon you. And when he would read it on himself, he would say Sallallahu alayya. This means upon me. So, in addition to all of the many benefits we hear in every speech about all of the blessings of the Darud Pak, you can gain even more sawab if you make the intention of following Sunnah when you are reading the Darud Pak, because it is a Sunnah because he would read it on himself. Sallu ala al-Habib. Now, all month long, we have been hearing stories about Huzur alayhi salam, about the beauty of Huzur alayhi salam, about the karamat, the miracles that he performed during his life. But perhaps even more important than all of that is, why should you believe in Huzur in the first place? Why should you be Muslim in the first place? I know that this is a big problem in the Muslim community these days. Second and third generation kids who grow up, their parents are Muslim, but as they grow up, they get farther and farther from Islam. And then people come to us and they say, Maulana Sahib, I don't know what to do. If I had an easy answer, then the whole world would already be Muslim because there would be no arguing. So I can't give you the easy answer. But I can tell you a little bit about my story, my history, and what inspired me to become Muslim. And maybe some advice towards the end about what to do with your own children, inshallah. So when I was 14 years old, in 9th grade, a freshman in high school, we had social studies, we had world history class. And in that world history class, part of that was we had world religions. So we had to study every religion and learn about what is Judaism, what do Jews believe, what is Hinduism, what do Hindus believe, what is Buddhism, what do Buddhists believe, and what is Islam, what do Muslims believe. And this was the first time I'd ever really been exposed to that, and nobody had ever really told me about Islam before. And what was immediately impressive to me was the way all of the stories that I had already heard growing up, that I had already read from the Bible, that my parents had already told me, were also in the Quran. The stories of Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, the first man, his wife Bibi Hawa, Habil and Qabil, their two sons, Hazrat Ibrahim, Ishaq, Ismail, Yaqub, and Yusuf, 4 generations of prophets in one family. Hazrat Nuh and his flood. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam and Harun, his brother, going to Fir'aun. All of these stories are in the Bible. All of these stories I was already familiar with growing up and had read them in English in the Bible, and my parents had taught this to me. Now remember that, because I'm going to go back to it. But then I started to have a little bit of a second thought. And I was afraid that, okay, right now I'm interested in Islam and I might convert and become Muslim. astaghfirullah, but this is what was in my head at the time, was that, well, but what if next year I hear about another religion and then I want to go follow that? And then next year I hear about another religion and then a third and a fourth. And I don't want to spend the rest of my life jumping around like that. So I decided I had to do a lot of research and be absolutely sure that I wanted to become Muslim and that I was going to stay Muslim after I became Muslim. So I spent about another year from maybe 9th grade until 10th grade just doing research about basically every religion and trying to check it out and see, what are their proofs? What do they have? Is there any reason to believe in this or not? And what I found was that for the most part, every direction you look, every other religion is totally open corruption. Wallahi. If you know anything about the history of the Hindus, they lost their own kitabs. They didn't even have their own holy books. They lost their own kitabs. And then when the British came to India in the 1700s and the 1800s, their archaeologists were digging and their historians were doing research and they found their kitabs and they brought them to them. Here's your own kitab. Now you tell me, how are you going to believe in a deen that doesn't even have their own kitab, that can't even keep track of their own text, and has to get it back from the British? So I said, okay, there's no way I can believe in that. And then the more I studied into the Bible, even though I had been raised as a Christian, I still said, okay, I need to understand what's going on in the Bible if I'm sure that I want to leave it. And there, again, it was totally open corruption. I think the problem nowadays is that people see the Western countries, they see that we have a lot of money in the Western countries, we have a very high standard of living. People get impressed by that. And people might get kind of a second-hand impressed by Christianity just by association with the success of the Western countries. But if you were to actually read the Bible, and I have, you would be shocked. Of course, in the Holy Quran, we know that Hazrat Isa alayhi salam was not killed, but he did ba'atha, he ascended up towards heaven, and they only killed somebody else. And Christians, as everybody knows, think that Hazrat Isa died nailed to a cross. Astaghfirullah. But the ridiculous thing about that is that if you read in a certain chapter of the Bible, it says that whoever dies hanging on a tree, whoever dies hanging on a piece of wood, there's going to be a curse upon him. There's going to be a la'nat upon him. But then in another chapter it says that your own prophet died hanging on a piece of wood. So how can you believe both of those things at the same time? Even they base their entire deen around the idea of Hazrat Isa dying on a cross, but they can't even tell you what day this was supposed to happen. Wallahi, there's a Jewish holiday called Passover, okay? If you read one chapter of the Bible and one ayah, it says Nabi Isa died before the Passover. And if you read another chapter, it says he died after the Passover. And so the more I studied every other religion out there, I realized that this kind of complete corruption and contradiction was everywhere. But not in Islam. There's no contradictions in the Quran. There's no, on one page it says this, and on the other page it says this, like there is in the Bible. And it has been protected, and it has been historically proven to have been unchanged since the time of Nabi Pak alayhi salam. Not lost and then dug up again like the Hindus book. Alhamdulillah. But then, after I converted, I was kind of surprised at how little young people, young Muslims really understood their own deen. And then people start coming to us, and there's stories from my teachers and stuff that are really kind of shocking. Hang on a second. People will come to my ustads, people will come to us, people will say things, Maulana Sahib, I don't know what to do, my son's on drugs. Maulana Sahib, I don't know what to do, my daughter has a boyfriend, I don't know what to do. They say, you should do Tawbah, because you did not teach them Islam. Allahu Akbar. I remember I was talking, hang on a second. Sallu ala al-Habib. Remember what I said about my own past, that Christians will know their own religion. They will read the Bible in English. They will teach these stories to their kids. But Muslims aren't really doing this. Alhamdulillah Azza wa Jal, now Dawate Islami has released the Holy Quran in the English language for free. You can download for free. You don't have to pay shipping. You can read it in English. But who is reading it? Has anyone in the audience read the whole Kanzul Iman front to back? Remember that on the day of Qiyamah, the children will come and they will say, my father never told me about Islam. My father never taught me these things. And then the azab will go on the father of the sins of the children because he didn't teach them. And we've heard this again and again in Bayan, but we still can't learn from it. Some of these stories, these are true stories that have happened to me. Wallahi, if I come up here and lie in front of all of you, then I'm a fasiq. These are real stories that have happened to me. Some family members, someone who had an imam in their family. Not our imam here in Houston, Allahu Akbar, but somebody else. They came up to me and they said, what is Sahaba, Tabi'in, Taba Tabi'in? Tabi'in, the second generation after the Sahabas, Taba Tabi'in, the third generation. The best Muslims of all, the first, second, third generation that will come after. They have an imam in their family and they're coming and asking me this. Now why wasn't he telling them? So you want your children to stay safe, you want your children to stay Muslim, you have to teach them Islam, brothers. You have to teach them the Quran in their own language. We have a Quran in Urdu, you can download it for free. You can download tafsir for free. You can get the Quran in English, all from dawatislami.net. As our Imam Sahib and my Ustad Sahib, our beloved Maulana Ahmed Raza, I don't think he's here tonight. But one time in a bayan, and I really love this line, he said, this train is going straight to Medina. It's up to you if you want to get on it or not. If you want to learn Al-Madin, you can come learn Al-Madin here for free. You can come become an Al-Madin for free. If you want to do Hifz of Quran, you can go do Hifz of Quran for free. If you want to learn stories of Sahabis, you can download booklets for free. If you want to learn akhlaq and manners and how to be a good Muslim, you can go on the Madani Qafila for free. Brothers, the opportunity is here. You just have to take it for yourself. Sallu ala al-Habib. One time, a boy came up to one of my ustads, a small boy, and he says, who is Abu Bakr Siddiq? Who is Abu Bakr Siddiq? And then when the boys are 18 or 20, they come up and they say, Maulana Sahib, I don't know what to do. Now my son is on drugs and he's turning atheist. But when he was a little boy, you could not tell him who is Abu Bakr Siddiq. Allahu Akbar. Remember that when Qiyamah comes, everyone will say, I just want to go back. Just let me go back. I'll make time for Islam. Just let me go back. I will learn Islam. I will study. I will tell my children, just let me go back. But at that time, the door of Tawbah will be closed and we won't be able to go back, brothers. time is now. The time is now. We have the resources. We have everything you need if you want to learn. Like we said, this train is going straight to Medina, so it's up to you if you want to get on it, inshallah. Allah Azza wa Jal enable us to read the Quran in our own language, to study it, to understand it. Allah Azza wa Jal enable us to learn the stories of the prophets and to tell the stories of the prophets to our children. Allah Azza wa Jal enable us to learn the stories of the Sahabas and to tell the stories of the Sahabas to our children. Ameen. Bi Jahi Nabi al-Amin. Sallu ala al-Habib.